So they're going to play Connecticut, who won 72-59. And this game was never close. Like, I know that Miami made like a bit of a run there. This game was never close. Like, Connecticut is so good. I was just sitting there smiling watching Connecticut play. Like, they are tough as hell defensively. They run incredibly intricate, high level offensive basketball where, look, part of why, and we'll talk about this, part of why I think Connecticut's going to go pretty well for Connecticut, I think, on Monday, is that they run this like ball movement style of offense. And they run this like incredible, fun, intricate off-ball movement and all sorts of crazy high-level screening actions. Like, I'm not saying that San Diego State, like, they have good off-ball defenders, but what they excel at is like cutting off driving lanes and cutting off angles and like being physical and being tougher than you. Maybe they can do that in the driving lanes. Maybe they can do that like off the ball. I just think that stuff doesn't matter as much against Connecticut, because on top of it, Connecticut is bigger and tougher than you on defense.
Yes.
Because of Sanogo and Klingon. And it feels silly to start talking within this conversation about Klingon, Donovan Klingon, Connecticut's 7'2" plus. I asked him how tall he was after the game. He was like, honestly, I might, like, he in not so many words, he kind of intimated he might be a little bit taller than that. He was the guy that just like stood out. He had 4 points and 6 rebounds. He was the guy that stood out for me most in that game.
Well, you and I were texting back and forth about it during the game. Like, the only way to stop him was to play Adama Sanogo. And that's not a winning proposition for the Hurricanes or anybody else, but it's just, he's such a force out there because he's huge, he's mobile, he's got soft hands and great touch. He was just snagging one-handed rebounds that he was tipping to himself. Like, what do you do with a guy like that, particularly when you're an undersized team like Miami?
No, you can't do anything with it. Like, Norchad Omier tried, and God love him. That dude's physical, he's tough. Like,
I love him. I love Norchad. He had no shot.
He had no shot. No shot with Klingon. That dude is enormous. He moves like, I thought he moved well watching him on tape and like seeing him, on TV and everything. It's kind of hard to overemphasize how well he moves like in short areas. Like, it's pretty sick. I tweeted this out last night. It got like a bunch of retweets and likes from Connecticut fans being like, yes, you're right, but shut up. There's no way that he doesn't go in the first round if he declares. He is so good in drop coverage. Like, he is like terrifyingly good for a freshman in drop coverage right now.
Yeah.
He is 7'2". He moves well. The shot looks projectable. Like, I know he doesn't take anything outside of like 3 feet, but when you watch him shoot free throws and you watch him in practice, you watch him take shots, it looks like there might be something there. And like, you're talking about like 20 to 30 in this draft. You absolutely take a swing on this guy if he declares. I don't know if he's going to declare. Like, he seems very happy at Connecticut, and God love him. Like, if he doesn't declare, he could be the like lone big man that goes in the top 10 in 2024 with how big of a mess that draft is. Like, there are pros and cons to him leaving Connecticut now or leaving in a year's time. I don't know what he's going to do, but I'm just saying that guy's going in the top 30 if he declares this year. Like, I have very few doubts about that.
Yeah, I mean, other than Derek Lively, it's hard for me to envision a big man in this class, a true center type who has a more projectable upside and the skills that we've seen that can translate to the NBA. And to me, it comes down to the footwork. Like, yes, he's huge and he eats space, but if he has to move his feet for more than 1 step or 2 steps, he's pretty graceful with it. He can do it without fouling, with keeping his arms really big. I remember watching him on the AAU circuit. He played a bunch of hoop group events that I used to always go to and coach at. And his footwork on the block was always so pristine, even from a young age, that you would look at something like that and say, can he figure out how to move his feet and just master angles in space on the defensive end of the floor? Because if he can do that, he's going to be unstoppable on both ends. And in no way did I expect him to do that as a freshman. It's hard to talk about Klingon objectively because we fall in love with all of the small traits that he's shown us, yet he still plays a minimal role on this Connecticut team as a backup to Sonogo because he's also been so dominant. And by the way, Sonogo was awesome against Miami.
So good.
Top to bottom, did so many things. He shot the ball well. He attacked closeouts and finished at the rim, protected the basket. Shout out, like you said, to Hurley for the movement that they have on offense and the way that that allowed Sonogo to seal guys up the line for high lows, and their guards just threw the ball directly over the top because none of the Hurricanes could be in position from the backside with all the movement going on. Like everything about how Connecticut utilizes their bigs is pristine. And that allows Klingon to show all of his strengths without revealing any potential deficiencies. But my God, we're how deep into the season now, and we've seen him do this consistently every single game. Like there may not be many deficiencies there.
Yeah, and I mean, like the short roll game from Sonogo has gotten way better throughout the course of the season. Klingon has gotten way better defensively and in terms of just like learning where he needs to be and like how to best utilize his frame throughout the course of the season. They're super impressive. The other thing I will say, like being there and like seeing him up close, Jordan Hawkins was nowhere near 100% in this game. Like, I know that Dan Hurley is like saying that publicly and everything. I just want to make it clear, like that's not bullshit. He was like not moving nearly as much as he does throughout games last night. Like typically he is the Energizer Bunny that's like running off of screens, like back and forth across the offensive zone, trying to find any sort of daylight for an open catch and shoot three. And he just didn't have it. Like he just absolutely did not have it because he had a stomach bug the night before. And look, it's the fact that they auto benched Andre Jackson for 16 minutes in the first half and didn't have Jordan Hawkins really like for that game. Like he had 14 points, but he was not 100% in that game. Just straight up, I can tell you that the fact that they beat Miami by 13, given that, is ridiculous. On top of it, this is now a team that you are San Diego State. You have to prep for in 48 hours, all of the crazy shit they do on offense. That is an impossible prep in 48 hours. Like all of this is why I think that this is, I feel good about Connecticut is what I would say.
I struggle seeing how San Diego State is going to score. To be honest with you, that's the thing for me. That side of the floor is the one that I think more heavily favors Connecticut because while San Diego State, like it's hard to game plan schematically, they at least have really good defenders all the way through their lineup, individually speaking.
But you know what the problem is? So does Connecticut. And Connecticut is huge. Is big.
Huge.
Like they are 6'5" across the board. Like Tristan Newton is legit 6'5". Jordan Hawkins is legit 6'5". Alex Caravan is 6'8". Andre Jackson is 6'5", 6'6", something like that. Like then you have Sonogo, Klingon. Both of those guys are enormous, and Sonogo plays bigger than 6'9". And then you have Naheem Aline, who's 6'4", but is like he was huge and like physical, and like Joey Calcaterra, I guess, is their smallest guy. He's like 6'3", but he's really smart defensively.
Yes.
Like they're just tough. They're a tough team. They're super intricate and tough to deal with offensively. They're physical defensively. They have the imposing rim protection. Like it is obscene how good they are.
Yeah, and you can't bet against them, Sam. Like as much as I want to give San Diego State the fighting chance and believe in what they've done, I love Dutcher as a coach and just how much belief they have in themselves. You can't bet against Connecticut, not after what we've seen the last 5 games, not with the fact that they haven't lost a non-Big East game all season long. And I think they've won each game by 10 or 12 points at least. Outside of conference, they're dominant right now. They are dominant. They're deep. They shoot it. They defend. They rebound. I don't know how to beat them.
Yeah, I think they're a really tough beat. I mean, I am just looking through their non-con. I mean, yeah, they beat Oklahoma State by 10. I think that's the closest in their non-con. Like, yeah, they're a ridiculous team, man. They're really good.
Yeah.
Honestly, like they're not going to go down as one of the best teams ever. You can't when you're a
Yeah.
4 seed, right? But like at their peak, like at the beginning of the year and right now, I have not seen many better college basketball teams. Like this is better than like last year's champion, right? Like this is better than just kind of everyone across. Like all due respect to that Kansas team, right? Like that Kansas team was really good last year. Like they had a better record than this Connecticut team, but like my goodness, they're so much bigger, they're so much longer, they're so much more athletic than that Kansas team. And they like the shit they run like rivals Bill Self. And there are very few teams I feel like that you can say rival
Yeah.
Bill Self.
Yeah.
And then like you go back to 2021, like we love that Baylor team. That Baylor team was awesome, but they're small.
Yep.
Like Butler, Mitchell, Maceo Teague, Adam Flagler, like those are 4 of their biggest players. Like Mark Vital was playing like real minutes. They had
Mark
nobody over
Vital.
6'9". Like Flo Thamba is probably like 6'9", right? Like it's just hard. Like this is a really, really good team. Like at their peak, this is a very, very good team. And man, I don't. I'm with you. I don't know how you stop them. I don't.
No, I have no idea. We talked about it back in December. A little bit of a hiccup there in the middle of the season with the Big East, but they figured themselves out, and they are
Yep.
one game away from being national champions.